Okay, so we are going to start at the beginning before we cut into why this is important and why we have started on this journey of creating solutions for human energy depletion. As we know, and I have shared this if you followed me in any capacity on LinkedIn, I've shared this several times, seeing some stars from WHO. We read it all the time about burnout, but a lot of us are not going deeper on that conversation. And I'm not going to pretend like this conversation has not been happening. I think we've done a great job of starting to highlight that this is a problem and something needs to be done about it, especially as we are now in an age where AI is advancing faster than anything we've ever seen before. Just 2 years ago, a lot of the things that are existing did not exist. Entire industries, entire careers that did not exist 5 years ago are a thing today. So the advancement is not the issue. The issue is, as this advancement is happening, the speed at which AI is moving and increasing, we've come to realize that it's almost as if human energy is depleting at that same speed. Of course, we need data to prove that. No? Yes. That's why we have you covered, because obviously, to create solutions for something that is this pressing, we have to first get knowledge on how things are happening across different industries and regions and leadership levels. And so I embarked on something which I will come to, but I have to start from the very beginning. In 2024, I severely burned out. And for the people who know me and with whom this has become an inside joke, I'm a one-woman army. I really am. I can go fast, I can go alone. I just have the ability to drive myself. A lot of people say, Tina, how are you able to do that? Just be disciplined and go after something and literally lead yourself through it. I've never had a problem with that, you know? So as someone who's a go, go, go person whose work ethic is insane, I burned out. Okay. I'm a high performer. I know what it is to literally burn yourself to the ground just to get to the outcome that is so desired, right? And when I burned out, I thought I just needed to rest and take some time off, as a lot of us in leadership do, as a lot of us high performers do. But this wasn't that. This was my entire system, not just my body system. Of course, that was the major, because I ended up having to go do surgery. But it was not the main thing. The main thing was there was this mental weight that I carried, and it was so heavy. I could not explain it. Everything looked a little bleak, almost hopeless, which is not normal, especially if things seem to be going relatively okay for you, where people are looking at you and saying, wow, you have such a great life. You know, things are working out for you. On the inside, you are, for lack of a better word, dying. But you're not sure. You cannot necessarily put your finger on what is wrong. You cannot necessarily say, this is why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. And that was happening to me. So I had to take a break. I needed a professional reset. I went 4 months. And this was after I had gotten back from surgery. Because, you know, you're back from surgery. For the people who have been through anything like that, the healing process is harder, right? Sometimes you think the surgery is the hard part, but the healing can be the hard part. You know, when it's over, now you have to sit with yourself. And if you're someone who is so disciplined and so driven, it's hard for you to not do anything and just wait until you feel better. So I remember I struggled a lot during the healing process, which was not easy for me. And in that moment, I got more perspective about this thing. What is it that drives us so much to the point that we're willing to trade our health for it? And I remember putting out an article some time ago saying one of the lines in that article was, what's the point of working so hard to gain success if you drive your body to I don't know if I'm phrasing it the way that I did there, but the summary of that will be, what's the point of doing that if you're not going to be healthy enough to enjoy it? So why did you drive yourself to the ground? What was the reason for that? And so that became the foundation of wanting to understand how leaders were going through burnout and how the experience was, because of course it varies for different leaders at different leadership levels. And now we have learned across different regions and different industries. Again, I'm coming to that because we have collected data from 3,000 plus executive leaders across 65 countries. And the findings from the preliminary report are really interesting. And we're starting to look at those findings, and we want to pull out the different angles of those findings as they relate to different industries and as they play into now this day and time that we are in. And so the first thing that we will talk about first of all, pull out those different angles. And so I will be looking here at my screen for 1 minute. I'll say we have the overarching media story. So we have 82.4% of leaders that believe that boards should treat burnout as a strategic and fiduciary risk. 82.4%. We now have 92.4% who are unable to quantify whether performance is being powered by sustainable energy or exhaustion. 97.1% do not track fatigue-related strategic errors, and 98.7% have never calculated burnout's cost. That is an interesting story. And the story is not that leaders are burned out. The story is that leaders now recognize human energy as a material organizational risk, but almost no organization has built the infrastructure to measure or govern it. So that has moved us from just employee wellness into governance and enterprise risk, board responsibility, operational performance, workforce analytics, AI governance, future of work, leadership, infrastructure. So I want to talk about angle one because, like I mentioned, this was a 3,000 plus data set, or it is rather, not was. And we have collected it across 65 countries. Obviously, we have very strong governance around how we are framing this collection of data. But the first angle is the $0 burnout fallacy, the belief that burnout doesn't cost much. We have an authority from WHO what it costs, and it's in trillions, right? But based on this data that we've collected, 98.7% of organizations have never, ever calculated the cost of burnout based on this data. And yet burnout is costing companies money. Nearly 99% cannot say how much burnout is costing them. And the most expensive workforce problem missing from P&L is burnout calculation, the cost of burnout. So the core argument here is that companies are not concluding that burnout costs nothing. They have simply never measured it. They've never calculated it. They've just never counted it. And the costs are being absorbed everywhere. You see it in the delays. You see it in duplicated work and preventable errors and missed deadlines and execution drag and executive turnover. You see it as poor judgment, client loss. You see it as recruitment costs. The opinion piece argument here is that burnout is currently an unallocated cost because it is distributed across several accounting categories, but no executive owns the complete number. So nearly 99% of leaders in our 65 country study is saying that their organizations have never calculated burnout's cost, suggesting that one of the largest workforce liabilities is still effectively off the books. Why is it important for us to talk about burnout? Why is it important for us to talk about human energy sustainability? Why is it important for us to talk about the responsibility of taking care of our people, the people that do the work, the people that support the mission, the people that are the reason that the clients have come, and possibly the reason that the clients are staying? If we measure everything, okay, we measure our finances, and then we measure financial risks, operational risks, we measure security risks, we measure every single risk. Anything that we consider a risk, we measure it. Why do we not measure human sustainability risk? Why don't we do that? Because in the first place, every single thing depends on the human being within your organization. Whether you like it or not, the human systems are what is running the organization. Does it affect your P&L? It does. Does it affect your operations? It does. Does it affect your productivity? It does. Does it affect business outcomes? In insurmountable ways, it does. So if we are calculating every other risk, why are we not calculating human energy sustainability risk? Because when your people are burned out, depleted, tired, it's telling in execution failure. It's telling in decision drag. It's telling in duplicated work, in poor communication. It's telling in so many ways that we are not considering as part of the problem. And it's a deeper conversation that burnout is not the major problem, but burnout is just the symptom of the problem. So how do we get now to the basis of the problem? How do we get to the genesis and the origin of it? That we have systems that are structured in a way to keep the humans running them depleted. And we have not even thought about the future of what that looks like for not just for the organization, for the industry at large, but also for the society, for the world at large. I'm going to tell you a story that I normally share when I'm invited for leadership workshops. So companies will invite me to run workshops with their senior executives, and this story always comes up. If I've ever been invited to your company, you know this story. It's a story about a manufacturing plant. They have an order, and it's a really large order, so everyone's hands are on deck. The order is so important, and the date cannot be missed. And so, again, like I said, all hands on deck. Now, on one of these days, the plant manager, I would say the floor manager, was doing his rounds, making sure that all was well. And he had walked the floor, made sure that there were no alerts to a problem that no one had seen or anyone had missed. All was going well. Production line was good. And just as he's walking back to his office, he sights an operator. And that's, of course, the operator is part of the team. So he takes a moment to observe the guy. The guy is taking down measurements of whatever, and he's looking on the screen, taking the measurements down. But what the floor manager notices is it's taking him longer than usual. It's taking him longer than normal to register the numbers that he's seeing on the screen. So the floor manager observes him a little longer and realizes that something that would take the guy normally 10 seconds is taking him almost a minute to do for each time that he's logging, whatever the numbers are. And so he walks up to the operator and he says, "Are you okay?" The operator responds and says, "Yes, I'm just a little tired." And the floor manager, he looks at him intently. He looks at the screen over and over again for about 3 or 4 times. And he makes a decision right there on the spot to stop the production line. Now, if you work in manufacturing and there are large orders like that, you have an understanding of why that is problematic. For every time that a production line is stopped, it costs the company money. So when the manager makes the call to stop the production line for 10 minutes so that he can find a replacement for the tired operator, everybody's calling him. This is not a good move. We have a deadline. This is going to cost us money. And he said, "I know, but I need someone to replace this guy." The operator is like, "Oh, I'm okay. I can handle it." He's like, "I know you can handle it, but I need you to take a break. Go sit somewhere, get some water. I'll have someone replace you for about an hour or so, and then I'll get you back on the production line." So they paused that production line for 10 minutes against the better judgment of everybody else who thinks we're losing money per second. They get somebody to replace the guy, and the production line resumes again. And the good thing, at the end of the day, they were able to meet, the deadline. They did not default in any way. But that story kept getting told across the organization. So even when new people came, they were told about the story, and everybody knew this floor manager for that. So one day he's meeting some of the new recruits and they're having conversation, and one of them asks him, it's like, "Hey, we've heard your story about how you stopped the production line for a tired operator who said he was okay, by the way, but you insisted on replacing him just so that he could get some rest." And the floor manager said, "Yes, I did that. And you want to know why I did that?" He said, "Because a tired operator is not a people problem. A tired operator is a system risk. A tired operator is a system risk." And he's right. Had he left him there tired, even though the guy kept telling himself, "I'm okay. I'm just a little tired." You already admitted it. You're tired. Whether we like it or not as human beings, when we get tired, our ability to make good decisions shrinks. Whether we admit it or not, we do not make the best decisions when we are depleted, when we are tired, when we are burned out, right? But we might not know how that compounds, right? Until somebody who has foresight probably sees it and says, "You know what? You need to take a break." And you say, "No, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I just need to take a cup of coffee." And he's like, "You need to take a break." Now that happens with us high performers against our better judgment. We know when we're driving ourselves to the ground, but we keep telling ourselves, "I'm okay. I can handle it. I just need to sleep just give me a power nap, 10 minutes. I'm going to be fine." Your body is taking record, right? And then one day your body says, hey, you're not going anywhere today. You're not getting anything done today. And you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, but I could do it." And your body's like, "Yeah, no, I'm shutting down. Since you don't have the sense to stop when you should, I'm going to stop for you. Okay, I'm going to stop you and allow you to get some rest." So back to my thesis about why we make this such an individual problem when it is actually a system problem. When our best people come up exhausted and depleted and tired, and the only solution we have for them is take a break or, oh, why don't you take a vacation? That is not enough. We have come to the point where the conversation has to advance to how can we design the system in such a way that it sustains the energy of the people running it. Because, like I said, when they are tired, do not expect the best of them. Do not expect them to make the best decisions. Do not expect the best cognitive ability from them. Do not expect them to bring their best self. They will come. They will show up. They will be in the meetings. They will submit the report. They will do everything that they are supposed to do. But do not expect it to be the best, is what I'm saying. So how do we partner with the people who actually hold it all up? Because should one day your people get up and say, I gotta go, I'm not doing this work, you think that you'll be able to do it without them? You think that the AI systems are gonna run themselves? Well, we're getting there, but we're not there yet. And I don't even believe that robots can completely replace human beings. They just do not have the ability to be human, whether we accept it or not. They can do extraordinary things. We're getting to the point of super intelligence. Awesome. But that does not change the fact that they will never be humans. And that still remains our superpower as humans. Hey, I digress. That's another conversation for another day. I get so passionate when I start talking about that. But back to why this is important as a systemic design in sustaining human energy, because it is not just for the success of the business, that is guaranteed, but it's also for the sustainability of the people. One of my favorite phrases is you cannot build sustainable companies, sustainable industries, sustainable societies, sustainable businesses, sustainable organizations on unsustained human beings. You cannot do that. You might get away with it for a couple of years, but the time will come when all of that compounding effect of exhaustion starts to tell on your business or your product or your clients. Okay? A tired worker, tired operator will struggle to speak nice to your clients. They will struggle to make the best decisions on product direction. They will struggle to communicate in a way that the team needs. So many things will go undone. So many things will be missed and they will slip through the cracks until the problem or the outcome of that problem is so much bigger than you can handle in one sitting. That is why we need systems that also give us early insight into what's happening with the teams, that show us when pressure patterns and strain signals are spreading or rising across our teams before it becomes execution failure or an even bigger problem than we can solve. So if you are in any capacity leading people, this conversation has come at a time when it must be had. This conversation has come at a time when we cannot ignore, especially as the world is moving. So we have got to partner. As we are seeing with the data, there is high demand for human energy sustainability measurement across different organizations. We have over 90% of the leaders saying we have to start measuring human energy. And we have to understand how it plays into other aspects and angles of the business. And we're not measuring it as some sort of surveillance. No, privacy has to be protected. Everything about measuring this must be ethical to the core. So pseudonymized data, private data, confidential data is how we get there. And we've solved for that with an incredible team of people. But again, that video is for another day. I want to speak directly to you. If you have found yourself in this place where you are completely burned out and it's hard for you to really pull yourself out of it, because a lot of us find ourselves there, especially people who are high performing. And so if that is you, the problem is not necessarily you. Again, conversations vary, but as of today, this current conversation is not really based on what your individual experience is. It's majorly focused on how the systems in which we operate are functioning and partnering with us to sustain our energy while we do work that feels like purpose, while we do work that is fulfilling. Because at the end of the day, We want the money. We want to see the results of why we do what we do. We also want to see the impact. But at the same time, we want to be healthy while that's happening. We want to be mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, physically healthy, emotionally healthy, relationally healthy. We want to be financially healthy. We want to be healthy in our work as well. That is important. And that is what is being asked of us, especially in the day and time in which we exist. There's never been a better time than now to focus on this. There's never been a better time than now to really begin to pull out the solutions for lasting problems like this. Never ever has there been a better time than now. And this is why we're advancing the conversation from just wellness to an entire overhaul of the system in a way that we are agreeing to design it for sustainability, for human energy sustainability. That's what is now required of us. And if you have the ability or the push to create change somewhere because of your experience, because you've seen how dangerous this is, and you've seen how urgent it is, then by all means, go all in. And this is what I have done with the amazing group of people that have been with me, my advisory board members, my team, my friends, my partners, everyone. It's important that we solve the problem of human energy depletion. Because it's not just human energy depletion. There's so much that it takes from us as a society, so much that it takes from the families, so much that it takes from our communities, so much that it takes from our industries. If we begin to touch on all of the problems that are created just from human energy depletion, we will be here the whole year. And so I'm going to say, welcome to just a new era. That AI is great. We love it. We use it. But we also have to be careful in holding it accountable, if it isn't it, but holding it accountable as a major player in the protection of sustainable human energy. It should not be part of the players that are depleting humans. It should be part of the players that are sustaining humans. So we have to make it do what we want it to do. That's why, again, we are the humans. We are the ones that get to engineer it the way that we want it. And I don't care what the narrative out there is that robots are going to replace human beings. Miss me with that nonsense. That's absolute BS. Whatever it is that they have up their sleeves, I'm not going to talk about it in this video. It's irritating. AI is great, but once you start to go outside of the norm of it just being a support in terms of work, and you're trying to make it replace humans, I don't know if you're just being delusional, or stupid, or if this is a fantasy. I don't know what it is. But all right, until next time.